Jessica Maurer, I was looking through your bio and I said to myself, how am I going to give you an introduction which would give people the greatest insight into what you do? And it's really challenging to do. So basically, this is what I put together. Jessica Maurer is an award-winning fitness business strategist, which essentially means she helps studio owners and fitness instructors hold on to more of their money and retain members. She also helps solopreneurs and business owners run their business better. And her resume includes more certifications than you can shake a stick at. I'm embarrassed to say you have many more than I do. And you were also a finalist in the IDEA 2025 Fitness Leader Award. And also, I can also say you are the most organized person that I think I've met in a long time as well. Having run into you at the AAAI conference, I don't know how you maintained everything that you did and kept a smile on your face.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks, Joe. That was so kind, and thanks for having me. My tagline for my business is I help people go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling organized. So hearing you say that that is how I came across during that event is very enlightening to hear and very makes my heart just kind of sing.
And one thing I'd also say is when you interact with people, I think one of your superpowers, whether you're aware of it or not, is you make people feel present and special. And that, I think, is something that I think a lot of fitness professionals don't really think too much of.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I learned a long time ago that nothing that I say will stick with people, but how I make them feel will stick with them. And I know there's 10 million thousand, famous quotes about that saying, but ultimately it's true. I also came to realize in my management years that asking someone how they're doing, they just brush it off, right? We have that trigger response of good, great, when actually that's probably not the true statement. So I learned to rephrase my questions and ask different questions about the situation in which I'm encountering that person. And then the last one was becoming a mother, specifically to my 12-year-old son, who comes home and you say, how's school? Well, that's a dumb question because he's gonna say, great, and that's it, and move on. So we've learned to be much more specific in how we have communications with him if we really wanna get good answers. And then I just use that moving forward with how I deal with other people.
It's a great skill being a mom of a kid about to be a teenager. It definitely helps you interact with people in general and also the next generation, because I've heard some of the ways in which they talk, they use words that I don't understand, and I have to go to my nieces and nephews to ask them, what does that actually mean?
And we will throw it back on him and use it in the wrong way, and it drives him nuts. So I think it's been really fun to see this new generation find their footing and figure out a world that they were being introduced to, and then it got completely turned upside down, and now they're kind of coming back into being reintroduced into the world, and we're seeing them really come to fruition and become their own people.
What made you want to get into the fitness business?
That's a great question. I started off as a dancer. I danced all of my life. And at 18, I was going to a lot of cattle calls, open castings, and I kept being told over and over again, I didn't have the right body type. And I just said, well, then I'm done dancing. And I went to college and I just missed it. I missed the movement, the expression, how I felt when I was active. And so I started practicing yoga by myself. And from there, my boyfriend that I was dating at the time joined in, and then more of his friends joined in, and then more of my friends joined in, and pretty soon I was leading yoga classes on the knoll at lunch. Now, keep in mind, I had very little hair, and the little hair that I did have was hot pink. And so I was really hard to miss. And the recreation director came to me and said, this is great that you're building up such a following and offering this for free, but we will pay you to do this over here. And that was it, hook, line, and sinker. I was like, that's amazing. And when I went into campus rec, I realized how much impact I could have on other people by showing them what it felt like to move in a joyful manner. That exercise wasn't about punishment. That exercise wasn't a way that you coped with what you did the night before. That exercise actually could make you more confident, make you feel better within your own body. And I started really diving into teaching yoga, earned my certifications, and realized that there were all of these other modalities that I could teach, and that people got sick a lot on college campus. And I had the opportunity to go in and sub all of these classes, and that really led me towards accumulating more and more continuing education, more and more certifications, more and more job experience. And because I was one of the most well-rounded instructors, that led me to go into personal training, which led me to go into management, and everything has kind of steamrolled since then.
That's amazing. That's a great story. You started out doing it for yourself and then everybody followed you.
It was great.
Since you've been in the industry as long as you have been, you've seen things come and go and you've had a chance to analyze the industry from the inside, it sounds like. What do you think the fitness industry is getting right? And what do you think they're maybe not doing so well that they could probably improve upon?
Oh, great question. I think one of the things we're doing really well right now is variety. We're really honing in on the fact that one size does not fit all. I think even just 15 years ago, we were dead set on everyone had to do HIIT. HIIT was it. Everyone had to do it. It didn't matter your favorites. It didn't matter your own preferences or experiences. It had to be HIIT. And I think now we've really come away from that to be like, actually, what do you like doing? And hone in on what you like. I love this explosion of boutique fitnesses, large gym fitnesses. We're starting to see solo entrepreneurs come back up and independent gyms open up again, which is wonderful after the crash, obviously, that happened during the pandemic. And so I love this idea of everything is at your fingertips. You could go try puppies and Pilates, and the next day you could be at a silent disco on a spin bike. It's just really enlightening and so refreshing for us to stop prescribing and instead exploring.
I'm a big fan. I think variety is definitely the spice of exercise as well. And I remember those days as well. It was HIIT and Tabata. Tabata is a HIIT on steroids.
And I wrote the part of the Tabata Bootcamp certification. I was one of the master trainers for Tabata Bootcamp. We did one of the first studies in Tabata on Tabata in the United States. I loved working with Mindy Milray and the Savier team, and so I know I was part of the problem. I definitely was there on the ground floor, and I think it's been such an experience to come out of that and say, hey, let's take a little bit of this, let's take a little bit of that, and kind of blend things together so that everyone has a space in fitness instead of saying only the already fit have a place here.
I've often wondered about how inviting the fitness industry is for people who are not ultra fit. Again, the older population of America as a whole is getting older, and equipment is getting much more complicated. I mean, some treadmills, I got to look at them twice. I'm like, where's the start button on some of these things? Yeah, I think it's good that we have a more inviting environment now than we did in the past.
Absolutely, but you hit on something that I think that we are doing incorrectly. We have a reputation problem, and we've never stopped to fix it. We've had a reputation problem probably since the beginning of the fitness industry, but we saw it really ramp up around the 2010s when everything was about biggest loser, no pain, no gain. If you don't puke, it's not hard enough, and you shouldn't walk for 3 days after. That culture that we built around that time has never been repaired. And so the people that came into the field at the time when it was all about how sore can we make you, they've never come back to fitness because of their experience with us. We've never gone back and repaired those bad experiences or that trauma that we've led a lot of people to have. That body shaming aspect of fitness has never really come forward and been repaired or worked on. And I think that's one thing in the fitness industry is, as fitness professionals, that we really can do is step forward and take responsibility of, yes, we messed up and we've learned from it. And we want to make sure that you feel welcomed, you feel seen, you feel like you have a place with us, and we need to get rid of that old vocabulary of tank top arms, summer body ready, turkey burns, don't eat the candy at Halloween unless you come to the cycle class first. All of these things that have been built into our culture, we've got to get rid of them. We've got to move past it. That's the only way that more people will come and stay in fitness, is if we show them, hey, we've learned, we're different, and we want you to come to our party.
Yeah, it's a great statement. I've been told privately by personal trainers at some of the most well-known names in fitness that in meetings, they are told by managers to hurt people, make them sore the next day, because if they're sore, they'll think you're out of shape and they'll keep coming back for more. That manager's got bonuses, the trainers got bonuses, and you know as well as I do, personal training is the biggest moneymaker in the gym. And when I hear those stories, which I've heard on more than one occasion, I'm like, are you kidding me? Wow.
Sitting in those meetings, it's very uncomfortable. And we have to look at the statistics and say, okay, the average client is staying with a personal trainer for 6 to 8 weeks. The average client is staying in a gym or a boutique fitness studio for 6 to 8 weeks. The average personal trainer is only staying in their role for less than 2 years. We're looking at an 84% turnover rate within our entire industry. it's not working. And if that old mantra of make them sore, make them regret coming to you because they'll think that you did a really good job, if we keep that up, reputation of exercise is punishment, or you only come to us to make sure that you feel degraded or shameful or guilty about how you live your life, we're not going to see people come in. Only 24% of Americans work out to the standards of what we put forward from the Health Institute, and they're only meeting barely the requirements. So if we want more than 24% of people, we got to start doing things differently.
What's something the fitness industry can do starting now that might change that for the better?
I think that we need to get rid of this idea of in 4 weeks you'll lose 5 pounds, or that you're coming to the gym to lose weight. This idea of physical transformation is outdated. And we know through looking at studies that if that's the only messaging going out, they're never going to see that transformation, which means that they feel like they failed and exercise doesn't work for them and they leave us. We can change the verbiage to, I promise you after this workout, you'll feel better. I promise you after this workout, you'll have more confidence, more clarity. You'll be out of the brain fog. Hey, young moms, you want to be able to control your temper? Come join us at the gym. It needs to turn to conversations about mental and emotional health, not just the physical benefits. The physical benefits take such a long time to come to fruition. And we all have, 7 seconds of attention span at this point? We can barely think 7 hours ahead, much less 7 weeks. I need to know that when I leave this workout, whether it's gentle yoga or it's the hardest boxing class I've ever taken, that I'm going to feel better immediately.
Yeah, I agree. We have to put the emphasis on feeling better and being healthier, not necessarily having the big biceps. And social media doesn't help things with the filters and the people who say things that we know are not correct. And, everybody deserves a voice. That's a good thing about social media. But we have these, computers in our pocket that allow us to fact check almost everybody, but very few of us do it. And we judge people. We judge their intelligence, I think, based on the size of their biceps. And I don't think you can do that.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people go one direction and then some people go the other direction, right? We just kind of need to all meet in the middle.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I've heard from people over the years who have told me, I want to be a personal trainer, but I'm overweight and I want to lose weight first before I get certified. I'm like, oh, that's so sad because fitness is a big tent and most Americans are not, 6% body fat. And I would think that somebody who is a little on the heavier side, or even more so on the heavier side, I think they would appeal more to people than that average, biggest loser type personal trainer. And it's sad the fitness industry doesn't embrace that more.
And I think that goes back to the reputation. It's really interesting if you go to a graphics website like Canva and you type in personal trainer, to see the graphics that come up and to think, okay, these are photos where you had a photographer on set, you had models, and you probably had a posing director, and they all said, this is a really good idea. And it's a personal trainer acting as if they were a drill sergeant to usually a young overweight woman. And you're just like, this is what they think of us. Yeah. This is what consumers think of us, because this is what we're putting out into the space and into the world. And I look at other industries and they're so welcoming to bring people in, and that's really what we need the fitness industry as a consumer base, but also as the professionals to say, come as you are. We accept you as you are. It was one of the reasons why Zumba was so successful. You did not have to look any way in order to be a Zumba instructor, and they encouraged all different types of colors and sizes and ethnicities, and we could all really go back and learn from what Zumba did in 2003 and bring that back into our fold.
Hopefully somebody in the fitness business is watching us and taking some notes. Question that I was asked recently, and I want to pick your brain on this. A person said to me they're going to work at a gym, won't name the name of the gym, and she said, I've got an interview coming up. Am I going to be an employee of this gym or am I going to be a contractor? What are the pros and cons of each? And I gave my feedback on that. What do you think that's most likely going to happen to that person who's going to be at a gym, and are they going to be a contractor, employee? And what are you thinking about all this?
I think it depends on your state. So I've lived in a lot of different states over my adult life, which has been very exhilarating and also very tiresome. But each state has its own employee laws. If we are looking at it from that perspective, I always just encourage them to, hey, check out your local and your state governances and let's see what your state specifically has to say. It is my belief, coming from a management perspective, that group fitness instructors are 100% employees. I am telling the group fitness instructor when to be there. I'm telling them what to teach. I am in charge of their schedule, and they can't call me one day and say, I can't make it in at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. I'm going to switch my class to Thursday. No. And that is one of the clarifications of the difference between an employee and an independent contractor, is does the employer set the time frame? And if they do, you should be an employee. So then it goes, if you look at personal trainers, well, they've got a bit more flexibility in some cases. It does depend on where you are working, the size of the location, and how they have their personal training departments set up. If you are selling your own, booking your own, and you are completely in charge of your scheduling system, you can make an argument for 1099 in certain states. Now that does mean that you are a business owner at that point, and there are additional steps that you should 100% take, like creating an LLC, having your own liability insurance, making sure that you're talking to a tax attorney so that you understand at the end of the year what that giant bill means, versus if you're working in a facility where they tell you you're on the floor Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, they're now dictating your schedule. And if you can't change that dictation, you are an employee. And so you really should advocate to have employment status at that point. The other interesting thing that I see a lot of states starting to fight about too is the idea of not only just employee and independent contractor, but education. So if you are an employee and you have to have a certification in order to keep that employment, your employer has to pay for that certification, the renewal of that certification, and the time it takes to renew that certification, which is why a lot of employers are saying, no, you're 1099, you're an independent contractor, so that they can skirt around this issue. Do your own research, talk to someone in your area, know what your state says before you ever go into that audition or into that interview.
I'm glad you brought up that whole employee contractor thing. I always, when I teach a class in personal training, I usually throw up a headline that I came across my computer screen a few years ago. Personal trainer injures a client, puts him in a hospital for a week, and the gym chain, it was a chain gym, basically threw the trainer under the bus and said, he's not an employee, he's a contract. And I don't think a lot of people who are maybe just starting into the fitness industry are thinking about that. You are offered some protections if somebody is injured under your tutelage versus a contract.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why when I'm mentoring young fitness professionals or speaking to fitness professionals who have worked at a certain gym and are going to go independent, the first step is always you need an LLC so that you can get full coverage. You need to have that limited liability insurance coverage if you are going to be an independent trainer, if you're going to own your own company, or if you're going to be a 1099 trainer somewhere. I think the other thing that we're starting to see in the industry, due to the latest legal findings, is dealing with NDAs or not, or dealing with non-competes. And it is illegal in most states for us as fitness professionals to be forced into a non-compete agreement, because it is stopping you from making money unless you are a full-time employee. So there are a lot of benefits to making sure you get that employment status. There's a lot of freedoms by being a 1099, because you can go work wherever you want. And if you want that hustle, if you want that life, create an LLC, make sure you're fully protected, pay your taxes.
I've heard about the NDAs. Some of them are like, you can't work within 25 miles of this gym. Really?
No.
I mean,
You want to hire me full-time? Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. But a lot of times when these personal trainers are getting started, as you know, Joe, how many clients did you have your first month as a personal trainer? Right.
Yeah.
It takes a while to build the trust factor that the clients see you, know you, like you, trust you, are willing to buy from you. And so we need to give some personal trainers a lot of runway to get up and get started. And being an employee helps you do that.
What are your thoughts on personal trainer liability insurance if you're an employee or a contractor?
I think if you're a contractor, it's 100%. 100%. I think that in certain situations, if you know you're working with special populations or people who might be prone to accidents for any purpose or reason, and having an additional, what they call an umbrella policy on top of what your facility is covering you for, I don't think is a bad idea. I work with a couple of CrossFit gyms, and all of their trainers carry umbrella policies on top of what the CrossFit gym already has, because exactly what you mentioned before, if you are around when someone gets hurt, you are going to be blamed for it, whether you had anything to do with it or not. And so just making sure that you're fully protected in those situations is pretty vital.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Is it your experience that most personal trainer insurance policies will not cover recommendations for dietary supplement stuff?
Yes, usually I have found that they're pretty strict on scope of practice. Right. And there's some also contraindicated movements that we know are not covered by any type of insurance because it's considered negligence. So a great example is, let's say that you're working with a BOSU balance trainer and you flip it upside down so that the dome is on the floor and the flat part is lifted up, and you're having people jump on top of that and jump off. Well, there's very clearly written around the BOSU trainer that that side is not meant for standing. Therefore, if you are encouraging that as a trainer, you are being negligent to how to use that piece of equipment correctly. No insurance company is going to cover you for that.
That happens a lot.
It does, doesn't it? It happens a lot. And I used to work for BOSU as part of their education team, and it didn't matter how many times we said it, how loud we shouted it, or who we had said it. Everybody was like, "Yeah, sure, but this is fine, and this mimics something." And we definitely saw a lot of people get hurt by using the dome incorrectly like that.
It's unfortunate. But yeah, that's something I've seen the gym hundreds of times over the years. Yeah, we're definitely going to show this part as a vertical video and toss that online. So when somebody is going into a gym or a studio and they're applying for a job and they offer them, hey, we're going to pay you this and this, do they have any wiggle room in terms of what their benefits could be, their pay could be, bonuses, etc., or is it, hey, this is what we're offering, take it or leave it?
Always. You always have negotiation room, especially right now. The fitness industry is so starving for fitness professionals everywhere because we do have such a high turnover rate. We're constantly seeing the need for new instructors, new trainers, new boutique instructors, new special pop instructors. We're constantly seeing this need for an appropriate coach. And so you as a fitness professional, you are in the driver's seat and you can absolutely negotiate. There are a few instances when money is not going to be on the table. So think about negotiating other items. Is there free childcare? Can you get a free membership? Can you get a credit for the masseuse or for using the special services? Is there a juice bar, or is there a partner in the area that you can receive benefits for? So check out the gym facility, all of their affiliates, all of their people that have worked with them, their partners. Check out the facility and what it offers itself, and then tie that into your negotiation package. Compensation doesn't always mean money. It means time, it means effort, it means energy. It can also mean education. So perhaps you are working at a facility, they have an education cap, and you want double. Well, you really have your eye on becoming a sports nutritionist this next year. Ask for them to pay for it. It's going to help you in the future, right? And so I think that we can look past it just being about what your paycheck says, and instead look more into what does the whole package look like?
It's a good thing you brought up. I'm glad you did. My follow-up question on it is, and I don't know the answer to this, are most group fitness instructors paid by the class or paid by the head number of the participants?
Both. There's always a flat rate, but then you can have just the flat rate or flat rate plus head. And it really depends on where you work as to which one is your compensation.
Follow-up question. Most group classes have music in them, which makes me wonder about the long-term injuries to hearing for group fitness class. I think that's something nobody talks about. But what happens if the license for the music lapses? If the license lapses and the instructor is playing the music, and somebody, blows the whistle on them because, Taylor Swift wants to get paid, who's on the hook for that? Is it the studio owner or the gym owner, or is it the instructor?
I really love this question because I went to school to work in music management. I went to Nashville to go to MTSU because I thought, I'm not talented enough to be on stage, so I'm going to be in control of the people on stage. And I fell in love with copyright law as I was there at MTSU. I had a fabulous copyright law instructor who taught intellectual property conflicts as well, and I really loved this concept of how do you protect something you created for generations to come. And I always found music licensing to be so captivating because it's so complicated. You think that when you buy something, you buy the rights to do whatever you want with it, and that's not actually the law. So when you buy something for your personal listening, that means Spotify to vinyl records, it's really for headphone use. It's for you to enjoy what you've purchased. It's not for you to play what you've done for 200 of your best friends, right? That is what we call a performance licensing. And performance licensing typically is paid for by the facility. So for the most part, if you are working in a facility for group fitness and as a group fitness instructor, your facility should be purchasing from the PROs, your performance right organizations, your licensing. That means you as the instructor or the trainer who might be using music, you're covered because you're in the building. And these can range from 1-year contracts to 5-year contracts and so on and so forth. There's 3 big PROs, ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. And most of the time people will have one, or they'll just go ahead and get covered by all 3. The cool thing about it is that if you are working in the facility and the facility lets their license lapse, the facility is on the hook, not you. But it is in your best interest to ask, do we have this license? If you don't, then you need to be using what's called royalty-free music. Royalty-free music isn't sound-alikes. It's usually sans lyrics, or it's created by independent artists who are looking to get their foot in the door. And that is a way that you can kind of negotiate around the licensing factor, is completely go 100% royalty-free, or make sure that your facility has the appropriate license, and then you can use music as you deem necessary.
What about gyms that basically play the radio, a commercial radio station over the loudspeaker so everybody can hear it? Is that kosher?
Just no, flat out no. They still need to have coverage. And also, from a consumer point of view, how distracting is it when you're working out and you're feeling great and it's a song you like, and then there's an auto commercial that comes on very next thing, right? Or Geico reminding you that your bill is due. It does disrupt the flow. And there is some really cool science out there, really cool science, about how the music directly affects performance. I mean, everything from like the style of music, the beats per minute, the nostalgia factor, whether you know the song or don't know the song, so many things can affect how you actually perform. And so if you're doing really great because it's a song that's within your sweet spot, and then all of a sudden you've got this announcer coming on, well, you've lost flow state. And that directly influences how much you are performing in that moment. And I think all of the research that's come out in the last 20 years about specifically music tied to mental wellness and also tied to movement performance has been so enlightening. And knowing that people feel the most connected to music that they learned between 14 and 24. So that is the sweet spot where if you're working with active agers, that's the music you want to go back to. They probably don't want to hear Britney Spears. They want to go back and hear, what was popular in the 60s, 70s, or 80s during that time frame of when they were 14 to 24.
I used to run about 20 programs for people with special needs, and I'd see people in the pool with older folks, a little bit older than me now, and they'd be doing aqua aerobics classes, and I used to giggle. I'm like, one day somebody's going to be in the pool and Ozzy Osbourne's going to come over.
Yeah.
You train.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that's considered oldies.
I know. I was at a casino the other night for a 4th of July fireworks, and there was a band that was playing Led Zeppelin. And we're standing there, and I'm looking around, I'm like, and there's not one person here under the age of 40.
Yep, and that is the time frame, right?
Yeah.
That is definitely the age where that music feels so known and so nostalgic and was such a part of your brain while it was developing that automatically just boosts serotonin and dopamine, even if you weren't a Led Zeppelin fan, or you're still not. It's still from that time frame can bring it up and be like, oh, I remember this, this, and this, and that gets dopamine and serotonin going in your body, and then those two factors make you feel like the exercise is more enjoyable. And that's ultimately what fitness is about, right? Is finding joy in movement. So anything we can do in order to increase that level of joy, we should be doing. And music is one of those powerful tools we should absolutely be tapping into.
Yeah. So you can make an argument for a gym not playing music and let people listen to whatever the heck they want to.
100%. I absolutely do think that. I also find it really fascinating working with a gym right now in the Midwest who has hours where they've scheduled certain type of music. And so you can actually look at the schedule and say, oh, 80s power ballads are playing at 11. That's when I'm going to go do my lifting section because I really want to hear Poison. Or it can be in the afternoons, they're playing hits, they call it yacht rock. They're playing yacht rock from 5 to 6. And so you can make sure that is when you are in the facility because that's the music that really speaks the most to you. So I think we can really play up to it in order to invite more people. They're going to be around other people who are their age, which automatically makes them feel more secure, more confident in their abilities. We as humans, we like to see other people who are like us, and so therefore you're getting that inherent bias of being around other people who are just like you. You feel safer, you feel more secure, you feel invited to the party there. And then that opens the door for you to realize how much of a bigger and more diverse community that gym allows for you to interact with. Getting you in the door because we played yacht rock is a great way to invite you to the party.
Very neat. I like that. I don't know what it says about me that I listen to solo piano music, but
hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah. For the studio owners that are watching us right now, I know you've helped reboot several brands, helped them improve. Is there a sacred cow that boutique owners, studio owners refuse to listen to, that this is not a great idea until they go off the precipice and they go bankrupt?
You know what's amazing is that we as fitness professionals tell people consistency is key, right? That's the word that comes out of every trainer, every manager's mouth. Consistency is key. You're not going to see your body, mind, or spirit change overnight. It's a gradual process. It's the same in business. Consistency is key. And a consistent schedule is key to success. So understanding what you're going to do every Monday, understanding what you're going to do for your business every Tuesday, understanding that your emails go out every Wednesday, understanding that you do lead follow-up every Thursday, having specific times in your calendar where you know what you're going to do within your business is the way to consistency. We need to start looking at businesses in ways that we look at our own physical health. What are your habits? If you can't sit down and assess your business habits, you don't actually know the health of your business. It's the same as when we work with clients. We ask them what their habits are, right? We ask them how much water do you drink? How much movement are you doing? What do you enjoy? What are you eating? How are you sleeping? Same for the business. Are you following up with leads? What does your email look like? What does your social media look like? What are your actual weekly habits, monthly habits? If you can't put a system in place, then you can't track your data. And tracking data is the only way to know if you're getting closer to your goals or if you're just spinning your wheels. And so I find that when I come into work at businesses to help rebrand or help create structure, my first inclination is always, let's look at your systems. And I don't just mean your technology, I mean your habits. What are your confirmed habits? If you know every Monday, these are the things you do. And I also encourage, especially solo entrepreneurs, is once a day you need to do something that your future self will thank you for. Oftentimes we as solo entrepreneurs, we're on the hamster wheel, right? We're caught up on, I have so much to do here that I can't think about what the next step is. And every day you should have a pocket of time, a window in your day where you're doing something that your future self will look back and say, I'm really glad I did that last week for me. I think that is something that's really highly overlooked, and we as managers and solo entrepreneurs, we get stuck in this feeling of overwhelm. And if we took time to slow down and put things in the right place, then that feeling of overwhelm would dissipate, because we would know what to expect. And when the brain knows what to expect, then it can actually calm down. When it's constantly thinking about the 5 million things that you want to do and want to accomplish, it's always remembering and it's not thinking. And if we're in a problem-solving area, if we're trying to constantly remember our to-do list, we're not actually thinking about the present moment. We're focused on what is next, or what did I do this morning that I needed to remember to do tomorrow. And so those are my big strategies when I usually come in to work with brands and with businesses, helping them going from feeling overwhelmed into feeling organized. Is what are your habits, what are your systems, what are you consistent with? Typically they say nothing. And so that makes it easy to start from a fresh slate, right? And then starting to practice this idea of making sure we're doing something every day that future self will be glad that you did, and making sure that those consistent habits are scheduled and continued with as you move forward.
Last two questions follow up to what you just said. Is there a system upgrade that studio owners could employ right now which would increase their profits immediately that maybe they're not thinking about? And is there something that they love that really isn't probably going to give them the return on their investment that they're think it would?
That's a great question. We do not pay enough attention to retention of clients and retention of staff. You lose thousands of dollars every year from staff turnover alone. So instead of constantly focusing on how do I get new, no. Focus on who you have. Focus on your advocates, your cheerleaders, and your staff. Make sure that they feel like they cannot leave. And often that is the biggest system that I come in and put into place is, what are you doing for your current members? What are you doing for your current staff? And a lot of times it's, well, we're open. That's it. Well, we need to really implement strategic retention strategies so that we're celebrating every moment, every milestone. We're celebrating anniversaries. And not just waiting for it to be a big one like 5 years or 1 year. Let's celebrate 6 months. Let's celebrate 1 week when they first start with us. Let's celebrate classes. Everyone takes attendance. We should be able to easily track when you've taken 50 classes, 100 classes. Let's celebrate it. Let's put it up on a wall when you've had 25 personal training sessions with someone. That we're celebrating your milestones. We're celebrating your birthday. That's going out into our email newsletter, all of the birthdays for the month. So if you see this person, make sure you give them a fist bump, tell them happy birthday. Taking time during training sessions or classes to celebrate something that might be happening in someone's life. Those retention strategies keep the people who already know, like, and trust you there with you for a longer period of time. And that goes for your staff as well, because again, you're losing money all the time if you're in constant turnover with your staffing. So what can we put into place that makes everyone feel loved and seen, and stop focusing so much on lead generation? The other problem that I find often with businesses and solo entrepreneurs included is that you are so worried about putting things out on social media and marketing in a digital space that you've forgotten that people exist in the real world. Everyone wants to just say, Instagram will fix it. I just need a better social media platform, or I need a better way of interacting with social media. We used to have this saying at Fit for Mom, and I will live by this phrase for the rest of my career. At Fit for Mom, we used to tell our franchisees, you need to be the mayor of Momville. You need to be out shaking hands and kissing babies. And that is how it is in the fitness industry, no matter what you teach. If you're a gym owner, if you're a solo entrepreneur, you should be active in your community. You should be out shaking hands and kissing babies. Everyone in your community should know when they see you, what you represent, what you do, where you work. That means from your clothing that's branded, to your car that's branded, to going out and speaking at the Chamber of Commerce, getting involved with things like Toastmasters, making sure that when someone says, hey, there's a 5K, who should we get to do the warm-up? You're the only name that comes out of their mouth. How can you be the mayor of fitness and wellness in your community? And then go out there and do it. Instagram's not going to fix your lead generation problem. Flyers and business cards are not going to fix your lead generation problem. You being a human, that is going to fix your lead generation problem. So, I mean, we look at it from psychological perspectives. If you drove by a billboard and the billboard said, Joe is the best masseuse in town, would you believe it? No. But if your sister said, Joe is the best masseuse in town, you would sign up immediately. And so using that type of grassroots testimonial style referral system from your already known, liked clients will help you build actual leads that will stay with you. I like to put this analogy into play too of like, you don't want someone to be next to you in sprinting. You don't want Usain Bolt as your client. You want Forrest Gump. You want the guy who's going to run across the country with you multiple times and for no reason and be with you by your side the whole time versus coming in and out of your life in 10 seconds or less. So how can we start to get more ultra marathoners, more Forrest Gumps through your doors and less of those fast and furious in and outs?
I know this was going to be an information dense interview when we decided to do this, and you did not disappoint. Jessica Maurer, this has been fantastic. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, great. I'm on Instagram. I'm JHM Fitness. I also have my own website. You can find me at jessicahmaurer.com. So that is Maurer. That first R just throws people every time. So strange. And you can always shoot me an email. My email address is the same as my website. I'm jessicahmaurer@gmail.com. And I'm here to help the fitness industry really go from feeling overwhelmed to feeling organized and leading forward with a sense of joy and positivity and purpose for ourselves and for our clients.
Jessica Maurer, it's been fantastic having you. I really can't thank you enough for your time. Funny you were talking about retention and practices. I used to go to a gym several years ago, and it was a bunch of older people. I sometimes think I was the youngest person there. But one of the things that they did, they would put the obituaries of their members that died at the front desk when you walk in the door. And I don't know whether I liked that or I was creeped out by it.
A little of both, right?
Yes.
A little of both right there. Oh, God.
Yeah.